The Browns preseason is over. The cuts have been made today. We are ready for the regular season opener against the Chiefs. But let's pause here for a second. Normally we would have our fourth preseason game, but we got the weekend off. I guess we got a Buckeye game this weekend, which should be fun. But we wrapped up preseason. Baker looked pretty good in the opener. But Drew, do you have any concerns going to the season after we saw the Browns mostly sit their starters throughout the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, this is tough because we are all looking at this through a prism of the last Browns teams or of the Browns teams of the last 25 years, right? And if you look at it through that prism, this team looks like a shining city on the hill, right? Just like there's immaculate, right? But, trying to be a little more critical when you think about this team amongst the best teams in the league, which is sort of how we have to think about this roster, because that is what this team is. They are absolutely one of the top 5 best teams in the league as currently constructed. So the concern that I had from the preseason was one, Andrew Billings. He looks like he is on rollerblades out there. He is so easily moved around for somebody who is 330 something pounds. Shades of the old like Gerard Warren days where you just expect someone that big and that quick to be pretty good. And he has not looked that part at all. Now, the flip side of that coin is that Malik McDowell looks like every bit the day one prospect that he was coming into that 2017 NFL draft out of Michigan State. He has been the best player on that Browns defensive line without question. Now, obviously, Miles hasn't played. Jadeveon Clowney hasn't played. And Malik Jackson hasn't played, right? So the three main starters that you expect to see, they really haven't played. But I am hopeful that Malik McDowell gets a lot of snaps. I think he can, if you look at that Michigan State tape, he played as a one technique. That's in between the guard and the center where you're asking them to eat up blocks. Michigan State had this variable defensive front where occasionally they would go 3-4, and he would play as defensive end in the 3-4. So he's lined up as a 5 technique, which is essentially out there like beyond where the tackle is. He's lined up as a 3 technique, which is between the guard and the tackle. He can play anywhere on that defensive line. He can play any of those positions. And I think he is somebody that I need to see more of in the regular season, if only because Andrew Billings has looked so bad out there that I don't want to see much of him based on what I've seen this preseason.
It's a new day for this Browns defense. Yes, it is. Sonier, what do you think about coming out of this preseason? Any concerns?
Well, it's a new day, but not for Sheldon Day. I'm sorry. That was a tough cut for him. And I also wanted to throw in a shoeless Joe Jackson reference, but I will not because he no longer made the team. Joe Jackson, he has his shoes. They had him take his shoes and exit the facilities. But back to your question is, some things I've been looking at the team. Some of them were kind of answered, I guess. I wanted to see some cohesion with this offense. I mean, the Atlanta game, you got to see Baker, lead the offense. Obviously, J.C. Treader wasn't in, and a majority of their receiving targets were not playing. So that still remains to be seen. I really, looking back in hindsight, I'm really glad Baker got that time because a couple of his passes were batted down. So I'm hopefully he can correct whatever tells he had, or let's not all put it on Baker, or if the offensive line were not doing their job, that were allowing their defenders to put their hands up. So whatever that is, that hopefully that cohesion on offense can get rolling before 2 weeks from Sunday against Kansas City. To Drew's point, I kind of had a note that I trust Miles and Malik Jackson on the defensive line, and everybody else is a wild card at this point, but Malik McDowell, you already touched on, so we don't need to go there. So hopefully he, he continues and, really just surprises everybody and makes one play after another. Two more big concerns of mine are the secondary health. Obviously, I'm hoping a lot of this is precautionary, but a lot of these guys are frequent flyer. You got Greedy Williams. Obviously, we know what happened last year, and he left injuries with a migraine, with a groin injury, hamstring, a little bit of everything. You got Denzel Ward, who just had soreness. Again, I don't know to what extent, but he has missed time in his first couple of years in the league. And then you had MJ Stewart, who made the team. He has that possibility to be either a safety or a cornerback, but he's been held out with a hamstring. And then you flip it onto the safety side, and you have Mr. Always Injured Grant Delpit. I mean, I hope he can come back, but it's going to be a tall order. Him and Greedy both have had nagging, consistent, recurring injuries, and that's really a concern, especially because I believe they kept 4 safeties. One of them, Richard LeCount. I had to throw that in there. That was a Sesame Street.
That's a Sesame Street.
That's having kids. But yeah, so I mean, that's gonna be. I mean, he's playing well in the preseason, but he is a rookie, But he almost has more experience than Grant Delpit already at this point, because it's all practice and preseason games. So if Delpit were to miss time and you only have John Johnson and Ronnie Harrison, I'm hoping LeCount could come in and be that third safety for this team. And then obviously we're going to have Greg Newsome pressed in, coming as a rookie as well, but I'm not too concerned about that. And last but not least is obviously the kicking game. Chase McLaughlin. Yes, so he's the guy now. He was good. He missed an extra point, missed the 56-yarder. I don't know if he's going to be the guy going forward or just for 1 week, kind of like what they did last year with Austin Cyber. But
your boy Zane's available.
Yeah, they got a lot of former Browns. Zane Gonzalez. I don't know if
oh no.
What's that other guy, Greg Joseph? I don't know if he's still available or not, but I'm gonna roll with him, and I hope he just does consistent work and makes his extra points, most importantly. But it's still concerned. I mean, we had one of the best kickers in the NFL for so long when the points didn't really matter because we were only getting 3 at a time and losing by a lot. Now we have a good team, and we need that kicker to potentially win us a tight game, and I'm just going to be hopeful, and he gets everything right, but it's definitely worrisome as a Browns fan.